Quinton Rankin. And Quinton is actually getting ready to sign with Team Certified. Um, I did make a mistake here because he now just texted me that he had wanted to talk with Lou. But I'll have to make sure that the next time we have Lou on the show that we bring him in as a panelist. But Quentin, are you there?
Yes. How's everybody?
How you doing, man? Quentin, we like your last name. Boy, you ranking. What's your ranking?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm trying to be ranked number one. That's the whole game plan, man. I'm trying to be number one.
Hey, listen. Hey,
I
listen,
got a
listen.
lot of experience. I got a lot of experience in boxing, so I'm just trying to move my way up.
Hey, you don't want to just be
You just
ranking
fought
up,
Dawson.
huh?
Yeah, I just fought Dawson. Yeah, I just fought Dawson about maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, maybe.
Oh, I heard about that fight.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
fight.
It was an interesting fight, man. I felt like I started a little slow. I showed Dawson a little bit too much respect, but once I knocked him down, I felt like I could have got him out of there, man. But they didn't even count it as a knockdown when I knocked him down. They gave him 40 seconds to recover. Then when I jumped on him, they pointed me twice after that point. So it was a very controversial fight, but a lot of people said, I did good. I represented my state well. I'm definitely trying to get back where I'm fighting all top fighters, man. I'm looking to fight the best of the best. I've sparred with Andre Ward. I sparred with Peter Quillen. I sparred with Roberto Ramirez. I sparred with Andre Durrell. I sparred with a lot of champions, man. And now it's like, I don't want to be a stepping stone. I want to be someone who is carrying titles. You know what I'm saying? But it's very difficult coming out of the city I'm coming from because as soon as I come and I tell them I'm from North Carolina, I really don't get that much respect. I got to go in there and earn it. I mean, you should anyway, but it's harder for me coming where I'm from. So it's an uphill battle, but I'm in it. I'm in it to win it.
I got you. Tell them you from Detroit.
Yeah. Tell them I'm from Detroit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to, man. I'm gonna have to. I need some of that work anyway. I go to Detroit if they got the work, man. I'm trying to get the work in wherever I can get it, bro.
Oh yeah, it's
You know?
definitely down here. Yeah, it's definitely some work in Detroit. We always got some work. Yep, yep. But no, that was good.
Yeah,
So go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was actually gonna say, man. Y'all was touching on some good issues in boxing, man, about the injuries. I wanted to touch base on just the injuries. It's like, a lot of times, man, as fighters, we don't really know that we're injured until after the fight because we got adrenaline. We got so much adrenaline popping that we can't think. We got so much adrenaline that we don't realize that we're injured until after the fight. Like, I don't feel my bumps and bruises, honestly and truly, until maybe later after that adrenaline. So it's hard to say, you just walk away from the fight because you're a competitor, you want to win. So I think that's it's a fine line, and I think that you have to depend on your corner to gauge you more. That's why it's important to have the chemistry of your corner because I remember that fight that I forgot that young boy died last month. He died. It was two of them, but one was Bertie McGurk's trainer. I mean, he was training him. And
Yeah.
And Buddy McGirt was like, stop. He's like, I gotta. He gauged that the guy wanted to win, but I feel like the dude just didn't want to quit. But Buddy stopped the fight. Now, he probably felt that earlier in the fight. Buddy probably felt that earlier in the fight. But there's no fighter that's gonna say, hey man, I'm gonna live to fight another day. That's never gonna happen. I mean, to ask somebody to say that is to ask somebody to put your will down. And I think that's very difficult to say that as a fighter. I would never put my will down. Now, of course, I think about my family and things afterwards. But when you're in the fight, you got tunnel vision. You want to win, especially if you know that you got a puncher's chance or you feel that you are competitive. I mean, yeah, taking shots. You never want to take shots. But it's a thin line. It's hard for a fighter to to really gauge that. And I think that we got to protect these fighters a lot more with health benefits. Like, most shows only give you 7 days to go to the hospital. I may have symptoms that last a whole month, you know, so I feel like, you know, all these millionaires and billionaires, they need to take care of these fighters a little bit more, man. Give us 30 days to go check ourselves out. I may be symptomatic for, you know, you normally going to have some symptoms 7 days after, but I may have symptoms for a whole month after. But you cutting me off at 7 days, I don't think that's fair to a fighter who you know is a poor man's sport. You know, so I kind of wanted to say that while Lou was on the phone, because I wanted to hear what his opinion was about that.
Oh,
but,
that's good.
What do you guys think about that?
That's good. That's good. Hey, I think you're making some great points. One of the real great points, other than, like, you know, longer than 7 days, because like you say, you might not start feeling it until 2 weeks later. You know what I mean? You all of a sudden feel bad.
Right.
I like the fact, too, that you said the adrenaline. Adrenaline makes a lot of sense. You can be all the way up. That's like, you know, I mean, this is going off the subject a little bit, but Scarface, for instance, when Scarface had all that cocaine up in him, his adrenaline was real high. So he was taking all them bullets.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, boom, from behind.
Yeah.
He didn't see it, and it was over with.
Right.
So that's the same thing.
Right.
You don't see it as a boxer. You got all that adrenaline. You don't see it.
No.
But then next thing you know, it's over with.
Nope. It's over. It's over. And I guarantee you those guys walked out that arena. But then all of a sudden, that brain started swelling. All of these different things happened to them. I mean, the guy was talking. All of them was talking before they died. You know what I'm saying? Now, some of them, they don't talk. They don't walk away from the sport, you know, but a lot of them do walk away. It's the aftershock that really kills you. It's the swelling after the fight, after the adrenaline is gone. Because, you know, I'm from the hood, man. I've seen people get shot and run a whole half a mile with a bullet in them and then collapse and die. You feel what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I know that adrenaline can push you to survive. Yeah. And I think that people got to understand, like, there's no fighter that's going to tap out. If you tapping out, you in the wrong business anyway. Absolutely. So you should have never been a boxer.
Should have been an MMA
you know what I'm
fighter,
saying? Like,
right.
It's no way that it's no way my will's going to tell me, okay, it's time to quit. No, man, you know, that's what my corner's for. But we have to do better after the fight. Take care of these fighters. Stop giving these fighters 7 days. It's going to be 7 days. I'm going to tell you, man, after a tough fight, I'll sit in the house for 2 or 3 days, and I'll recover. I'll sleep. I'll drink. You know what I'm saying? But my symptoms could last longer than 7 days. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, it's unfair to a fighter who you know is depending on not only the purse, but he's depending on the medical attention that they provide, which is really poor. You got $1 million worth of insurance, but it only lasts for 7 days. I think that's terrible. I think that's garbage. The NFL has people that's taking care of the players, that's putting in a pot for the players afterwards. In a boxer's life, after you take that damage, your family is who's taking care of you. There's nobody protecting you a year or 2 or 3 after you have PTSD from boxing. You get what I'm saying? There's no commission that wants to make sure that after the sport that you're not mentally going crazy. I know fighters. Calvin Seabrooks right now. Calvin Seabrooks is from my area. He's from Charlotte. He's a champion. You know, he was one of the first champions in Charlotte, North Carolina. He talked so different right now. I'm talking about his whole speech. Sometimes you have to, you know, really listen to what he's saying because his words are slurred.
Yep.
And it's like, man, where was his protection? Where was the CAT scans? Where was the people that should have been taking care of him? All that man get is a standing ovation at a local show.
Wow.
And he's doing security for a school. You get what I'm saying? He's doing security for a school. This is crazy. He did all this entertainment for the world, and this is all he gets is a standing ovation and a pat on the back. You get what I'm saying? So I mean, at the end. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
What you forget is that in all these other sports, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, all of them got unions. All of them got unions.
Yes.
Boxers don't have one.
Yeah.
Every time someone tries, and K9, I know you've been through this, and I know you've probably been approached by this more than one time in your career. That boxers need a union, but when you start talking about, how the benefits are supposed to come and all that stuff there, then all of a sudden, everybody is concerned about health, but nobody wants to take some money out of their purse to help pay for it.
Hey, you know what? That's true. That's true. And we need to set up a retirement fund so when you retire, you don't have to be worried about where your next check gonna come from. I see fighters today. I'm talking about world champions with no car, walking up and down the street, ain't got nothing.
That's the truth. But you know, my thing is this: you got the cash cows, you got the De La Hoyas, you got the big companies. Why don't you tax them every year? And I mean, at the end of the day, they looking for tax deductions anyway. Why don't you put those tax deductions and those charity events into something that is going to benefit people who really need the money? This is a poor man's sport. I mean, people have to speak up about it. I mean, all of these millionaires, man, somebody needs to speak up. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. But that's why it's called boxing.
You're definitely right. But that's why you need to have the younger generation like yourself and the guys coming up. You need to, that's something that your generation has to change, because K9 and them, you know, I mean, hey, like you said, you know, the best they're going to get is a standing ovation at some event, you know, because, you know, we're old, you know, so we can't come up with fresh ideas. We can, but we do need the support of the younger fighters growing up. I think that's why you see a lot of younger fighters now making their own promotion companies and trying to get some of that money back, because there's no one to look after you.
But you know, James, the people with the money, or the powers to be, those guys can make things happen. So we got to get guys that's out there, that's up there, coming together like the WBC or Suleiman. You know, he can make some things happen. They real good at bringing all these new diamond belts and super champion and all that. They can come together and make something happen. There's nothing we can't do when we all come together.
They can. But are you willing to say, okay, we're not going to fight for a year? How many guys can afford to do that? You know, especially when you're talking about young guys like Quinton. I mean, you know, they can't afford for their stock to go down. They have to fight in order to feed their families. Guys that are champions, maybe they can fight once or twice a year. Speaking of that, Quinton, are you looking to get a little bit more busier this year? I see, you know, you've only, you had 2 fights in 2018. You had 3 in 2017. Even though you've had some really good fights here, you need to get a little more busier. I know that you know there's you're talking about coming over to team certified. Is this part of the reason why you want to get a little busier? Like you say, you know, coming from North Carolina, and what I see, your last 2 fights, one was in Dallas, and the last one, of course, with Chad was in Nantucket. But other than that, you've kind of been sticking close to home, right?
No, not at all. I mean, I haven't fought in North Carolina. I don't normally fight in North Carolina, actually. I haven't fought in North Carolina. I fought in North Carolina once in the last probably 3 years, man. I've been on the road quite a bit. And the reason being is because, you know, I know that when you fight on the road, you coming in as the underdog regardless. You feel what I'm saying? But I feel like I've been in there with so many top fighters that, you know, I'm willing to take that risk for my family. And in order for me to make myself known and make myself a household name, I have to take fights. Now, it's been fights that I have signed a contract and they literally pulled out. You know what I'm saying? It's been names that, you know, I would call out and they would send me a contract, and then within weeks, oh, they're injured, or they went another route. I mean, I've had contracts. And I sent them in, and I would keep asking them, man. For one, I'm softball. For 2, I'm progressing and I'm getting better. So people don't know what they're getting. Like even Chad, at the end of the fight, Chad told me he underestimated. You know, he thought it was going to be like this, and he thought it was going to run through me. You know, he didn't think I was going to go where I went. I planned on knocking Chad out. And if I felt like if I would have got my fair shake, I would have knocked Chad out if I would have got my fair shake in that fight, and it would have been like, you know, just let me fight and let me do me. They pointed me for hitting him in the back of the head, but I'm standing right in front of the man throwing punches just like him. he didn't turn his back. You know, what it was they didn't like the fact that once I heard him, I jumped on him. The referee told me he was going to disqualify me 4 times in that fight. He told me he was going to disqualify me 4 times in that fight. That's the most I've ever heard a ref tell me they was going to disqualify me. You know, so at the end of the day, man, I want to fight. I want to fight the best. I'm not afraid to fight. I'm an old school fighter. Listen, I got about 4 to 5 more years in this game, and I'm going to fight whoever they put in front of me if the money's right.
Hey,
you know?
So you say
shout out to Team Certified too.
Yeah, so you say that they warned you a whole lot of times. Was the fight in Chad Dawson's hometown?
Yeah, every time he was warning me, saying he was going to argue with him because I realized something. Number one, if you argue with the ref, you're wasting energy. And number two, if you argue with the ref, you're just going to irritate him, and he's going to keep on agitating you. So I just stayed in the fight. He said something to me. I just shook my head. I didn't speak. I just let the fight progress, and I just let it progress. I didn't want to be combative to what he was saying, but I want to knock Chad out. I didn't come in here to pity pat Chad. I didn't come in here to lose. I came in here to knock Chad head off. And if this is boxing, man. This is not kumbaya. Like, what do they expect me to do? Chad is punching me. What am I supposed to do? Be his punching bag? No, I'm trying to knock Chad out. And I think that this was his comeback fight. He was Connecticut's 2-time, 3-time world champion. They wanted him to move on and fight bigger and better fighters, so they felt. And I didn't come in there for that. I came in there to make my name on Chad. And I think I earned a lot of people's respect. I feel that I need to get better on certain aspects of my fight game. But the thing is, I'm a student in this game, and I'm determined to be a world champion. No matter what it looks like, no matter what it is, I'll be a Holyfield of the game. I'll be a Glenn Johnson of this game. Because at the end of the day, it don't matter what they do, what they take from me. At the end of the day, I got something that they can't measure. They can't measure my will. You get what I'm saying? I got the skill to be in there with anybody. They can't measure the type of man that I am or the devastation that I have in my life. So I'm willing to put it all on the line because when it's all said and done, I'm going to retire boxing. Boxing won't retire me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to give everything I got. And that's what it is, man. I dedicate myself, my soul, my body, everything to this sport until I can't do it no more. And I'm going to walk away, and I'm going to kiss my family, and I'm going to say I did the best that I could, you know? And that's how I want to lead a game.
So is your video on YouTube, you versus Chad Dawson?
Nah, you have to go to CES Boxing. It's actually on their website. And it's a highlight. If you go to my Facebook page, it's actually a highlight of the fight. You can basically see it basically shows all of the action throughout the fight. If you scroll down my Facebook page, you'll see the knockdown. You'll see when they pointed me. You'll see when they continued to point me. Now, the commentators were all Chad Dawson fans, so you gotta mute the commentary to really watch the fight. You know, but I think that you'll be interested to see, man. I think that Chad underestimated me. I think the crowd underestimated me. And I think when I left, I think Chad gave me my respect. You know, I hushed the crowd a lot. You know, the crowd was loud and, you know, in his favor. I hit him, you know, and all of those big shots, and then he went down. And I think I hushed the crowd, man. I think I changed people's perspective. But, yeah, you just got to go check my Facebook. I wish they put it on YouTube because I really want people to see it. But
it turned out to be a win because you fought against a former champion, and you feel like you won a fight, and the crowd was with you, and they showed you love, and even the former champ, Chad Dawson, showed you love too. So I look at it as a win-win.
Right. Well, you know, I think it's a progress, man. I feel like I could have did a lot better, and that's the thing. All of my issues that I seen during that fight, I look at the fight as, if I was looking at this fighter, how would I help him improve? And that's what I look at. I don't look at things like, I don't pat myself on the back for things that I should do. I always criticize myself for things that I didn't do. And I think that that's helping me progress as a fighter. So, I mean, I'm always trying to get better, man. There's only one way to get better in this game, and that's just stay in the game, you know. So don't ever get overzealous and think that you did good. Everybody was like, you did good in the Chad fight. You did good. I said, well, listen, man, I didn't win. And my ultimate objective is to win. It's not to knock Chad down. It's not to hurt Chad. It's to beat Chad. And I didn't beat Chad. So I feel like it's back to the drawing board, man.
Hey, with that speech you just had, you kind of remind me of what Mayweather said about his dad. He said on Fight Hype, he said, man, my dad, you know what I'm saying, never told me that I was the greatest and I was the best. I did a good job. He said he always wanted me to do better.
Right. I mean, I think that's the only way to pull greatness out of yourself is to really put yourself in a position of trying to be better. Like, I could win a fight. I knocked that dude out in Texas. He was 11-1. Now, of course, it was funny because BoxRec said that I lost when that fight first came out. They tried to say I lost the fight. I guess because they was expecting me to go in there and lose, but then they had to reverse it. Because for whatever reason, I guess they was expecting this dude to knock me out, but they reversed it. When they reversed it, they made it a TKO instead of a KO, which I KO'd him. But it was crazy, man. So
they had that on BoxRec. It was on BoxRec that you had lost the fight before the fight started?
No. Like, when the fight ended, they made the fight like I lost the fight. And then I had to call and complain to the commission that, I know this is your Texas fighter, but I knocked him out. And he was like, well, that's a mistake. Then they changed it days later, So it's just like, it's crazy, the politics of the game, man. And it's like, it's hard to do it when you don't have a team, man. So I just pray to God that things go well with Team Certified and 1913 and everything's good. Shout out to Tay for, my cousin Tay for hooking me up with Team Certified, man. And, I just pray to God that I get the proper exposure because I'm like Chad Dawson said, if you go look at his YouTube and you go listen to what he said in the interview, this kid Rankin is much better than his record. He's much better, man. I done been in there with so many world champions, man. I had a guy tell me, I went to Top Dog camp. I know you heard of Thomas Williams Jr. Yeah. I went to Top Dog camp, and I went to camp with him twice. And when I went to camp with him the last time, his whole team told me, he said, bro, you are not an opponent. He said, you just need to be built. He said, you are not an opponent, bro. You can fight. He said, you can really fight, bro. You're not a sparring partner. You're not an opponent. You can really fight, and you just need the exposure. And it's the truth, man. I mean, I'm a lot better than people even know. And you can't gauge me because if you look at my old fights, you'll say, oh, he does this. And then if you look at the Chad fight, you'll say, oh, man, he improved on this. Or he looks stronger, he looks this. And then when you see my next fight, you're going to be like, dang, he even improved since the Chad fight. And the reason being is because I have to do this, man. I have to be successful for my kids. I have to. I don't have a choice. I have to win. I can't lose, man. I can't lose. And every loss is a lesson. I'm not going to lose, man. I will be a world champion. That's how greatness. I look at it.
Hey, I see greatness in you.
I appreciate it.
I hear you,
I appreciate it, man.
For sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Does the fact that, you're on this side of 30, does that motivate you even more? The fact that, maybe you feel that, you have a certain time limit also, like we were talking about, you want to be able to enjoy your kids and you want to be able to talk to your kids and things like that. You don't want to be, the guy sitting over there in the wheelchair, with the rag around your neck, a bib around you. I mean, you want to be coherent when you get out of the game. So, what do you consider a great timetable for yourself? I mean, K9, I think, won his first championship. How old were you, man?
37.
41?
Yeah. No, first world title was 37. My second world championship was 41. That's how I became the oldest junior middleweight world champ of all time, yeah.
Wow, man. That just sent chills down my body, bro. That tells me, man, that I need to keep pushing, bro, and I need to keep going, man. Bernard Hopkins was my main focus, and then it was Glenn Johnson. He was one of my inspirations. You know what I'm saying? And it's now you. Because I didn't know that about you, K9. I didn't know that about you, champ.
Wow.
I didn't know that. And I use everything in my life.
Oh, yeah.
I use everything in my life as motivation. I use it. You have to, man. You got to use every down as motivation, man.
You got to.
To answer your question, man, I'm 100% dedicated to being a world champion. And I'm not going to necessarily put a timeline on it. You know, as long as my body feels good, I feel young, man. I didn't have an extensive amateur background. I started boxing late. I started boxing at 20. You know what I'm saying? At 21. You know, so I didn't really have an amateur. So I don't have all those punches and all of those.
Absolutely.
You know, all those amateur. Yeah. So I got a young body, man. People like I walk down the street with a backpack on, and these young college kids think I'm their age. I'm like, nah, man. I'm 32. I got a 11-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. You know, so I'm like, my son, my daughter is like 6 years younger than you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, I'm reserved. I'm a vegetarian. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't party. I don't have a social life, bro. It's boxing or nothing. So I'm well focused. I'm 100% focused, and I thank God that I got my partying out the way late in life. I mean, early in my life, man, because I hit the streets early in the game. You know, I hit the streets at like 16, 17. I hit the streets early. So by the time I was 21, I realized how the streets was taking people out. It was people that was getting killed left and right. So I realized that, you know, at the end of the day, if I don't find something, man, either I'm going to end up dead or in jail. And boxing literally saved my life. So, you know, I take it serious, man. I'm not going to take this opportunity that God gave me, and I'm not going to allow that time to go by. I'm going to capitalize on it.
Yeah, 32 years old, brother, is young. How many fights you done had?
Yeah. I think I'm at 20. Man, I'm at 20, 22, 21 fights right now. You know, it's crazy. I only got, altogether, bro, I only got 31 fights. You know, I'm talking about amateur and pro. You know, a lot of people don't know that. So
how many
everybody who I fight, man, they got at least 100 fights more than me.
Yeah, how many amateur fights you had?
I had seven amateur fights, and I had 3 tough man fights. So I fought one tough man. They made you fight 3 times in a night.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
So I won that. So I was undefeated. I was undefeated all throughout my amateurs. I was 7-0 as an amateur, and then I ran through the tough man, and then I went pro immediately after I won the tough man.
Okay, so we got a lot in common because I had 10 amateur fights.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you had 10.
We got a lot in common, man.
Now you got to get that jury now. Yeah. You got to get that jury.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, that's the plan, man. I got to get that jury. Hey, it's all or nothing, man. I'm in it, man. As long as I'm healthy and as long as I can continue to learn, I'm going to continue to fight, you know, and that's just point blank, period.
Hey, and keep God first. That's what's going to do it for you. When I got saved, man, that's when I became a world champion the first time and the second time.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's who been keeping me motivated. God gave me a vision, bro. When I was I think I was still amateur. I think I had 3 amateur fights, bro, and I had a dream. I'll never forget it. And before I even had my first fight, I told God, I said, God, if this ain't what I'm supposed to do, then let me get knocked out so I can stop wasting your time and stop wasting my own time. Bro, I want all my fights by knockout.
Wow.
All my fights by knockout. All my fights. I want every amateur fight by knockout. And even my first 4 pro fights, I won them by knockout. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, I knew that's what God wanted me to do. But he gave me a dream, right?
Yeah.
He showed my face, and it was the Conquer box. It was like a Conquer box stats. And I was fighting a world champion, and it just showed my face and somebody else's face on TV. Now, that has yet to happen. I have yet to see that dream happen. But I know it's going to happen because I'm getting closer and closer every year. I'm getting closer and closer every year because God is not a liar. I may lie, but God didn't put that vision in me for no reason. So right. I know I can do it. I know I can. You know?
Right. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
Man. I'm focused, man. I'm focused.
Tunnel vision, right?
Tunnel vision. You got to. You know how it is. You know how it is, K9. You know how it is. If you don't see yourself as a champion, you'll never be a champion. Period.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. At the end of the day too, you gotta go out there and knock these guys out like you did when you was amateur. All your wins were knockouts. So you got to keep knocking these guys out. Train hard enough that you got to knock these
Yeah.
guys out. Because one thing about me that helped me especially when I was an amateur, I wasn't going out there just to win. I said, forget winning. I'm about to knock his head off. So you got to go out there and knock these
Yeah.
guys out in pro too. Then you don't have to worry about getting
Yeah.
cheated.
Yeah.
Knockout sell.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You know what my problem is though? I was so dependent on the knockout that I didn't learn some of my fundamentals. You understand? So like when you start raising the level and raising the bar, you realize that these guys are looking for your left hand. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if that's all you got, then they like, well, if I take away his left hand, then I'm good. But then I'm starting to learn like the Chad fight. So the biggest thing the Chad fight taught me was to learn the check hook. If you got the check hook, you got a good jab, and you got a check hook, you can set the left hand up because you start making them look like Deontay Wilder. People look at Wilder, they really don't see what he's doing in there. He's doing some very, very intelligent stuff. Wilder has a long jab, and he has a good check hook. Now, the hook is not going to knock you out, but it sets up that right hand so perfectly because you got to look for it. You got to look for the hook. You got to look for the hook. Every great fighter, Roy Jones, Andre Ward, every fighter that you know that is great, they had a good check hook. Floyd has one of the best check hooks. And it's like once I think me adding the check hook to my arsenal is really, really finna change everything, man. I'm really excited about my next fight because you think that it's just a slick left hand. If you look at that knockdown from Chad, I hit Chad with a perfectly timed uppercut. It was so perfectly timed, man. Right in the middle of the ring, he walked in. I said, all right, if he walks forward one more time, I'm going to throw the hardest uppercut and hook. And he walked straight forward, and I stayed still because he was getting me to back up. But then I stayed still. I looked at his head. I said, he's moving left to right. I said, if he moves to the right one more time, he going to fall right into my line of fire. And he did. Boom, uppercut. Boom, hook. And he dropped straight down. And I realized that, you can't load up on these guys that's on that next level. Like, you got to be strategic. You got to set them up. You got to make them think you're going to go left and then go right. You got to make them think that the uppercut's coming and then throw the cross. You got to make them think you're going to the head and then go to the body. You got to make them think that you finna throw a punch, but you just feinted them. You got to make them think that I'm finna feint. Nah, now I'm throwing a hook and a cross. So that's the thing. It's a thinking man game, man. You got to be smart and you got to be defensive. I think my defense is the thing that really Chad was surprised at. I think he thought he was going to be able to hit me at will, and he said that if you go look at his interview, he's like he was very slick and he was tricky. He had a sneaky left hand, and he was better than what his record was, and that's true. I mean, I've been studying Chad Dawson his whole career. So I knew I was gonna hurt him. I didn't think I was gonna hurt Chad. It was just, when would I hurt Chad? When am I gonna hurt Chad? That was the whole thing. When will I hurt Chad Dawson? And as soon as I dropped him, I said, yep, I knew. I got him. I dropped him in the 5th round. And I knew it. I hurt him in the 2nd, though. And the ref helped him out again. He said I was roughhousing him. Then I hurt him again. I dropped him in the 5th. And I jumped on him in the end of the 5th. They didn't stop the clock. The clock never stopped. And then the ref pointed me twice. They pointed me twice after that. The scorecards was 74 to 78. It was that close. You get what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
It was an interesting fight, man. I mean, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Quinton, you've had a chance. I'm sorry I didn't give you a chance to talk with Lou, but why don't you give us your final thoughts for the evening and tell everybody where they can find you on social media?
I feel like it's gonna be a good thing, man. You got me thinking maybe I should try bare knuckles, but you can follow me on at Q the Chosen One on Instagram, or Q Fit Boxing. Q Fit Boxing on Instagram. I got 2 pages, man. So Q the Chosen One is my boxing page. Q Fit Boxing is my fitness page.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to get some more of your stablemates on, and thank your cousin, Mr. Brown, for making sure that we had access to you. Thank you so much, my
All right.
man.
Good night, Team
Thanks
Certified.
for having me, man. And all right. Oh, yeah, man. Team Certified, man. And Team 1913, man. Thank y'all for having me, man. I appreciate it. I hope y'all have me back.